How do you coach scanning in rugby? Today, I'm going to share 3 of my favorite ways to help players get used to scanning, understand why it's important, and how to make the most of it in a game environment. As a coach, one of the biggest challenges I face is getting players to consistently look up and scan, whether it's spotting weak points, mismatches, or space on both attack and defense. For example, if a prop is defending out in the wide channel, how do my players identify this mismatch, communicate it, and get the ball to the winger to take advantage? Let's get into it. Number 1 is using the freeze or pause in games. This is a simple but powerful way to train scanning. Say we're playing a version of touch rugby, I'll introduce a rule where when I call out freeze, the game stops. The attacking team gets 5 seconds to scan, identify opportunities, communicate with teammates, and reposition themselves to attack. The defense can't move during this time, and then once I say go, the game resumes. This gets players used to scanning, and over time they'll start to do it more consistently without needing pauses. Some options I may use are reducing the freeze time to increase decision-making speed. I sometimes make levels that they have to try and get through to win the game. Like I may start with 15-second freezes, and after each try, 5 seconds comes off, and then the winner is the first team to score without using a freeze. I'll sometimes give the players the power to call the freeze. So each team might have 3 freezes and can use them whenever they want during game. This also helps show me which players are already good at scanning and that they're seeing the opportunities in real time. The pauses will help build communication within the team. It gives time to other players to recognize the opportunity and get on the same page so that the whole team will start seeing the same picture and react together. I might add a rule where they can earn more freezes, like if the defense gets an intercept or whatever skills I want them to be working on. I like it to be the defense to get the bonus rules, as it keeps them engaged in fighting. You often see in trainings the defense will just sort of slack off. They won't quite be working as hard, so this is a good way to keep them involved and motivated during the training session. For a kicking element, you could add a 50-22 rule where you get, let's say, 5 points if you kick a 50-22. You could also have points if you kick the ball into the 22 and get it to bounce. Attacking team can get a point for each time it bounces, or they could get the ball back if it bounces 3 times. The 3 bounce rule is a good objective, as that's when a rugby ball will bounce unpredictably. This adds an in-game like situation where the defense has to choose how many players they want back covering, but also gets the attack scanning to see if there are opportunities in the backfield. Hopefully a player sees a space and calls a freeze so that the others can understand what he saw and get into a position to make the kick. This can also be used for a crossfield kick if the defense has closed in and there's space for a kick pass. Freezes are a really fun tool and can really help with player engagement. I also use the freeze to ask them questions like, where's the space now? What's the best way to attack that space? Or after an action, I might freeze and ask, why did you attack there? What did you see? I try to keep this as short as possible. I might not even let them speak just to keep the flow of the game going, but I'm just trying to get them thinking about scanning and what to look for. A common problem, especially around kicking, is one player sees the opportunity, but the others don't. And like a winger might be wide with no defender. So I'll always ask myself, how can I get everyone seeing the same picture? And so if this is trained well enough, players won't even need to communicate. They'll react together instinctively because they all saw the same picture. Freezes really help speed up the collective thinking. Number 2 is using bibs. Bibs are incredibly versatile when it comes to training. One simple way I like to use them is to have a few players in each team wear bibs and add rules like if you're touched by a bib wearer, it's a turnover, or if a bib touches you, you've got 2 seconds to do an offload, or they're allowed to rip the ball. Another great way is for a team to have like half the team in red, half the team in green. And if 2 of the same colors are side by side and you attack that space between them, you get the same points as a try or possible turnover, however you want to do it. There are infinite ways you can play around with bibs. But what they do is create an element that should force the other team into scanning for those players and then attempting to exploit that. Number 3 is superpowers. Now, I've already used some examples of giving players superpowers with allowing them to call a freeze and having players wearing bibs and giving them certain powers, but they can also be used to aid with scanning. Take the 50-22 rule earlier. You could have a superpower where there's some cones on the floor, and if someone picks one up, then one of the defenders in the 22 has to go touch the goalpost, giving the attack some time to go for a 50-22 or just get a bounce in the 22. Defensive one might be to have some hats on the ground, and if a player puts one on, then he gets the one touch turnover power. So for one touch, if he touches the player, it's an automatic turnover. Another one could be if he touches a player, then that player has to stand still and can't enter the game till there's a turnover. These powers are more than just a fun tool. They force players to constantly scan the field, identify who those empowered players are, and adjust their decisions in real time. Ultimately, the goal is to help your team move beyond just playing what's in front of them. You want them to see the game, understand what's happening around them, and respond with intent and clarity. When scanning becomes second nature, the whole team begins to play with more connection, awareness, and creativity. Thanks for watching.